Hello and welcome back to the Pro Body Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Melissa Prochuk. This is Janos Prochuk, my husband. And today's episode, I'm actually going to allow Janos to introduce it because he's very excited about this episode.
Yes, this is a very exciting episode. So I've actually prepared an awesome topic to talk about today.
What is it?
It's about the lost art of being bored.
It was funny because before Janos comes into the study and he's like, I have the best opening for this podcast. I'll talk about how interesting this is going to be. And then reveal that it's about boredom. And I was like, yes, I love that. Why did you want to talk about this today?
Yeah, I think it's just something that has been playing on my heart recently. And it's been something that's sabotaging my mindset, my results a lot.
Well, both of us, yeah.
It's something that until I started looking into it more and preparing for this episode, I didn't realize how much boredom is so important for the human brain. And if you're feeling like you're not very productive at the moment, if you're feeling like you just can't focus or you're not motivated at anything at the moment, it might be that you're not bored enough.
Yeah. And let's not get confused as well with like listeners listening to this and thinking, oh, Mel and Janos want me to be bored. Wow, I'm really stumbling on my words today. Want me to be bored. We're actually saying be bored but not lazy. So don't think, oh, I can just be lazy after this episode. It's about learning how to be bored in a world where we're constantly engaged with technology, with all different things that are keeping our brains preoccupied and not allowing us to have those moments of just feeling bored with our own thoughts.
Yes. Now, just to clarify, we're not talking about being bored for hours on end. What we're talking about is the negative effects of your mobile phone and distraction on your brain and not allowing your brain to have that down space to not be overwhelmed, to process what's going on in your life, to have time to have ideas, to process problems, to process emotions, to be able to essentially like reset itself between the activities of everything that you do throughout your day. And so that's the biggest thing, is that breaking doom scrolling, which is what I've got stuck doing. Doom scrolling, it's called that for a reason, because it leads to your doom when you do it, because it's not allowing the brain to work the way that it's worked for generations, which is actually having times where you're bored. And so what we're talking about is not having hours, but it's just, when you're waiting in a coffee line, instead of immediately ripping out your phone and just starting to scroll straight away. Like sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I open my phone to do something completely different. And then I end up on Instagram scrolling through reels and I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Why am I on my phone?
Have you seen that TikTok where it's like someone's dying and needs an ambulance and then they get caught on reels, like they get distracted and they go on reels and then they realize, oh yeah, I was calling the ambulance.
I actually just saw that the other day.
That's funny.
Where they look down and they're like, oh, that's why.
But I think we all do this, and I think we use doom scrolling and social media and all those things. Yes, it can be in a positive light, and we like to look at that side as well. But in a negative light, it's kind of to distract you and procrastinate from, just dealing with your own thoughts or dealing with a situation. Like a lot of the time in a cafe line or when you're waiting to pay for your groceries, a lot of us, look around next time you're at the shops or the cafe, you'll see everyone on their phones, usually because people don't know how to stand still anymore and they find it socially awkward to even just look around. Like you're actually the weird one now for not being on your phone. And I think what a weird world that we live in, that it's more normal to look down and live in a little device than to actually live in the world that we currently live, like we're experiencing. So I think that's just really sad. So I'm excited for today's episode.
Yeah, well, as I was saying, as I was prepping for today's episode, I didn't realize how much I was sacrificing by filling my gaps with scrolling. Like I thought it was like, harmful that I'm filling the gaps with learning. Like I was filling it with good things, like always listening to podcasts. If I'm, in a line, I'll quickly open up my phone, swipe through, like do some Facebook, like go on a community group and start learning some things, those types of things. So I'm thinking, oh, how harmful can it be by filling the gaps with even good things? And I didn't realize that really when you're bored, that's not empty space. Like you're not filling a gap with swiping. That's what I thought. But what you're actually doing is you're filling the gap where it's usually your brain's ability to reset, to regulate, to reduce your dopamine levels, to get you motivated again, to start getting back into work and to start taking action. And so I didn't realize that by filling the gaps with just like what I thought was harmful scrolling, I didn't realize all the negative effects that I was having to my brain. And then I'll go into them later today, but I didn't realize the benefits to boredom as well. Like, and I'm not talking about hours, like the benefits to those small little, a minute there, 5 minutes there, 15 minutes there, those small little increments where you allow yourself to be bored. I didn't realize how beneficial those are to the brain.
Yeah, I don't realize how beneficial those slow moments are without your phone until you actually are forced to have them. Like, for example, recently we're on a cruise. And when you're on the cruise, like we choose not to do the internet package, which I always kind of really look forward to because I'm forced to literally completely leave my phone away. I hardly take any photos. I'm just there and I'm present with people. And in that first day, you actually feel quite agitated. You feel like you're constantly going to your phone for a reason and you try to like load Instagram. You're like, oh, right. Like, why am I here again trying to load it? It's a habit that you keep coming back to. After about 24 hours, you start to realize, oh, wow, let's actually just take in the surroundings around me. Let's actually have a conversation with someone. Let's actually use this time to have some thinking. And what I realized on the cruise as well is that I'm actually struggling recently to read a book, which I used to do so well. But with anything kind of long form content right now, I struggle. Even watching a movie, reading a book that I used to do so easily, because I'm so used to quick fixes of TikTok, Instagram Reels, and getting a quick dopamine hit every 2 seconds, I don't know lately like how bad it got that I literally can't consume big chunks of information. I can only consume small bits, but I've done that to myself and we've all done that. So that really made me go, oh, when you brought up this topic, I was like, that's a great topic to talk about because I am currently struggling. And until we had this conversation last week, I was like, I need to make a change because I don't want our child to be seeing me constantly scrolling on socials because I wouldn't want them to do the same thing.
And you don't realize how harmful it is to yourself. But the thing is that it's not really our fault because these companies have created them in such a way to make their apps so addictive, to have them, being such like they just dump a whole heap of dopamine into your body. Which is just not really the way that life has worked up until now. And so our bodies, our physiology is just quite simply not prepared for this type of level of dopamine. And that's why a lot of us, we can't focus on like long periods anymore, is because we're so used to having dopamine that's like high, like maxed out essentially by 9 a.m. So by 9 a.m. your dopamine's already maxed out. It's like, well, why would you then look forward to reading a book or look forward to even watching a movie? Sometimes you go to sit and watch a movie and it's like you can't sit through it.
No,
because you're used to the quick dopamine from Instagram.
Well,
and the
I do
reels.
this. We scroll on our phones as we're watching the movie.
Yeah.
And then we call that like, spending time together. I'm like, I'm actually spending time with 7,000 of my friends on Instagram besides you. But we all wonder why we feel so anxious and high strung constantly. I know sometimes I'm like, why am I so stressed out? When you look at it and realize that with all the information we're taking in within seconds on social media or on our phones, no wonder we're feeling so confused and not sure what we need to think and do in life because we're living in everyone else's life. We're constantly comparing our lives to others without even realizing because we're constantly saying, oh, they're engaged. Oh, they're having a baby. Oh, like I know for myself, I'll see videos right now because my algorithm is very baby focused and it will be like, this is what I packed for my hospital bag. You are a bad mum if you don't do these 3 things. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second. I know, like you take a deep breath and go and you put your phone down and you think, I know what I need to do. Just because Karen in America told me to do this does not mean I need to do this. Let's jump out of that fake land I'm living in and let's actually jump back into the real life that we're living in right now. And that's why like that anxiety, it really quietens when you just turn your phone off.
Yeah. And the thing is that it's social media is no longer even social media anyway. Like it's turned into being interest media now. So it's not even like you're socializing with your friends, or it's not even that you're comparing to your friends anymore. Now it's comparison to people you don't even know. And social media is just showing you the best of the best, the things that pop off, that go viral, that go crazy. And so you're no longer, like it's not social media anymore. I've heard that it's called interest media now. And so it just gets you to be so inwardly focused that it's only showing you things that you're interested in and you're completely disconnected from the world around you.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to talk about now is the 2 main benefits of boredom, which I had no idea about. and how they impact your physiology to help you succeed more in life, help you achieve your goals more, and how these can just make you just better humans in general. And this is what you're taking away when you're not being intentional with your social media. Nothing wrong with social media, nothing wrong with a good swipe here and there.
Yeah.
But this is the detriment to your life essentially when you're doing it all the time. So the two main benefits when you embrace boredom and when you embrace not swiping the moment that you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, boredom acts as a vital reset button for your brain and your nervous system. It prevents information overload and it shifts you into a contemplative state known as the default mode network, which is essentially, when I was reading about it, it's essentially your idle state, where your brain just like idles. So this idle state, it allows your mind to wander freely, which dramatically boosts your creativity, your problem-solving abilities. It helps you process complex life events through daydreaming, self-reflection, remembering the past, and just future planning.
Yep.
And so all of those things, you don't realize like how much you're distracting yourself from allowing your mind to process everything that's going through your day. And it's just starting to turn into where your brain is just getting overloaded information from everywhere, information about training, about nutrition, about how to optimize your brain, about how to do all of these things. Like you're just constantly overloading your brain. And it's no wonder everyone is feeling so anxious, so depressed, so overwhelmed in life, is because we're not doing that first main function of boredom, which is allowing ourselves to reset and to just drop ourselves down.
Yeah, I like that. I used to really struggle with the idea of this because I'm like, well, our job is to be on social media and to market and to inspire others. Like we have to do that and we actually love to do that. I know I love doing it and I'm like, I don't want to go off social media because I love it. But what I don't love is when I realize that I've been scrolling for like an hour and a half, consuming someone else's life and not living in my own, where I think that's really me, getting ideas and getting inspired. And then we get into the loop of my algorithm showing me all these motivational videos of like David Goggins saying, just get up and do it. And I'm like, yeah. And I just keep scrolling. Like I get motivated and you think that you're actually being productive when you're doing those things, but you're not. And that's the difference where I'm like, I am in only the last 7 days. we're learning. I am getting better in the last 7 days, and I'll be so honest about this, is, just posting when I need to, getting my ideas out there, consuming a few people's things, and then completely getting off there and only jumping on social media and scrolling and having that fun time when I genuinely am like, I'm going to give myself 15 to 20 minutes of just doom scrolling and not feeling guilty because I've done all my other things. But when Janusz comes in from work, I'm going to completely switch off and we're going to spend some time together. Just being mindful of that is really important. Otherwise you get stuck in that loop of like, no, this is what we got stuck in for a bit now was, we're working so much. We've got no time. How are we going to fit a child into our life? Yeah. And then you look at your, what's the screen time thing on your app, your phone, how you can see it. And it's hours and hours and hours. And I'm like, it did not take me that long to post that video and that Instagram story. I was spending hours living in someone else's life so I didn't have to deal with my own. And now look where I am.
Yeah. And I know that I was justifying it as,
yes,
but I'm learning.
Yeah.
But I'm listening to things that are like good, like podcasts, all of that. And I didn't realize, like, if you know me, I'm a massive podcast fan. I'm a massive audiobook fan. I love reading. But I got to this point this year where I realized that I was just filling my brain with so much and I wasn't giving my brain the gaps and the space to actually process all of this information that I was feeding it. And that was leading to a lot of overwhelm because then I was just reading all these different things we can do for the business, reading all these different things that I could do for, training, nutrition, do all these different things and not giving my brain the time to process them all.
Well, think about the Instagram story I put up yesterday where I was talking about that quote where it's like, doing the to-do list is not doing the thing. Watching the motivational videos is not doing the thing.
Yeah.
Like listening to the podcast and learning about something is not doing the thing. The only thing that's doing the thing and achieving the goal is actually doing the thing. But if you keep being stuck in the endless scrolling, the listening, the reading, all those things, it's like you're kind of just like preparing constantly at the start line. and never starting the race. It's like, just go. You keep thinking that you're doing all this work and wondering why you're getting no results. It's like people, like clients of ours that are like, oh man, like I read up online about this new diet, or I read up about this new workout routine, or I'm trying Pilates now I'm trying marathon running, now I'm trying strength training. And it's like, stop trying everything and doing everything and just stick to something and go, and then you'll get results.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's one of those things where like, I find that the moment I come out of the gym and I go inside, I might sit on the couch for a few minutes, whip out my phone and just start scrolling because I'm like, oh, I got to decompress after the morning. But then I don't realize that doesn't fill you with more energy. Like, in fact, the moment that I stopped doing that, once I got caught swiping, doom scrolling, I would come out of it feeling with less energy. And then I'm like, oh, now I don't want to record content because I feel tired. Like, oh, maybe I should go eat food now. And then when I'm eating food, what am I doing? Swiping again.
Yeah.
And so it actually saps your energy, because what we'll talk about again very soon is like the effects of boredom on allowing you to decompress and restore your energy back.
Yep.
It comes from the bored sensation, not from filling it with different things.
Yep.
Like the only way to stop because it's what you need to decompress is your brain. And so by filling it with more information that it has to process, it doesn't get to decompress. It just gets more and more overloaded the more you feed it. So what you need to do to properly decompress, what I realized, is that you need to stop feeding it stimulation and allow it to process what has happened that morning and be able to just focus on just being present.
Yeah.
The second part, so I talked about the first point and first main benefit of boredom is that it's the reset button for your brain, that it allows you to, have more creativity, more problem solving, self-reflection, remember past memories, that you don't want to just go through life and forget everything. Like when you're in the car, you might remember those like funny moments. You might, on a walk, start thinking about what's happened.
Yeah, think about, like, let's say, for example, your babcha, right?
Yeah.
His grandmother. She remembers things from coming over from Poland when she was 19 or 20. She remembers things about Janusz when he was really young as a baby, all the little stories, right? And I'm like, I can't remember what I ate yesterday because we have so much information in our brains. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Sorry, did you have a point?
Yeah, I did.
Did I interrupt you? Sorry there.
So first main benefit of it was that it helps you reset your brain, okay? And to contemplate and to process the information that you've already fed the brain.
Yeah.
So that's the first main benefit, is it allows you to process what's going on in your life, right? You don't want to just race through life, but process it.
Yeah.
The second one is that boredom is essentially a state of low dopamine, okay? Which is the complete opposite of what doom scrolling does, because that's a state of extreme high dopamine. Now, because it's a state of low dopamine, it signals to your brain to search for novelty, for reward, for stimulation. Like your brain, when it drops into that low dopamine state, it doesn't like being in a low dopamine state. So then what happens is your brain then gets motivated to go and do something else. So when your current environment lacks engaging stimulus, your dopamine levels drop, creating an uncomfortable restlessness that forces you to go and take action. So boredom, it's actually your friend, because it recharges your motivation when you allow yourself to get bored, because then it resets that dopamine response so that when you go to your work again, now you look forward to doing your work and working on the project because it's going to stimulate you.
Yeah.
Where when you have your dopamine like maxed out already, like I said before, if your dopamine is maxed out by 9 a.m. already in the morning, of course you don't want to sit down and work, because it's such a drop in dopamine levels from what you're currently feeling. Whereas if you let yourself have low stimulation moments where you're and it doesn't take long. Like what we're talking about here is not never listening to podcasts, never watching
never being
movies.
on socials. Yeah.
What we're talking about is the little gaps that you get throughout the day.
Yeah.
Don't pull your phone out of your pocket. Like let yourself stand in the line and just reflect on life. Like smile, be grateful, just look around. Have a few deep breaths, right? Like, because these are the moments where it allows your dopamine levels to drop so that when you then go to pull out a book, now the book is stimulating to you. When you go to sit down and work, it's going to be stimulating to you. And so it actually makes you enjoy work again. So it's not that you're demotivated. It's not that you hate work. It's not that you're like bad. It's just that by the design of social media and doom scrolling, we've allowed ourselves in our society to just be maxed out on dopamine at all times.
Yeah.
And so it's no wonder why we're all, becoming ADHD and self-diagnosed and everything.
Yeah. Can I just say, you reminded me when you took that deep breath.
Yeah.
The other day at our birth class,
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Janusz and I, so the midwife that's leading the class, she took us through a meditation, and you've got to be, nice and quiet, take deep breaths for a few minutes, and she talks you through this meditation. Anyway, this just goes to show like that once we finally are not stimulated and we're finally having those moments of, oh, we're in our brain, we're actually bored. Janusz, all of a sudden I'm in the zone. I'm listening to this lady. I'm like, oh, this is so great. I'm picturing birth. I hear snoring and Janusz falls asleep. I swear it was within 2 minutes. And I'm like, guys, I need a new birth partner because Janusz is asleep. I just wanted to bring that up because I'm like.
To be fair, to be fair, to defend myself, she could have explained the exercise a little better.
What do you mean?
Well, I thought the whole exercise was that we were practicing the meditation, the calming part. I didn't realize that what she meant was, no, close your eyes and listen to me describing your birthday.
What she was trying to do, we're going sidetracked now.
Yeah.
What the midwife is trying to do is like for me to practice going through contractions and getting into a meditative state and you supporting me. But when you fall asleep, I'm like, am I going to be supporting Janusz in birth?
Yeah, she was coaching us through some deep breathing.
We were laughing so much. It was so funny. Anyway, what I was going to say as well is you brought up a great point about, you know, when like you're at a cafe and like we automatically just like look around, guys, like look around the next time you're at the shops and you're waiting in line to do groceries. No one is just standing there grabbing their phones. But what the disadvantage of that is when you're always living in your phone is you take away the opportunity to either see something incredible happening in your life or to bless someone else. So I know for myself, sometimes when I really focus on not getting my phone out and just being there and allowing that awkwardness to feel like to rise up and go, oh, I need a hit of dopamine, but just be calm. You actually start to notice the cash register person who was so kind and you actually get to compliment them. You notice the little kid in the pram in front of you smiling at you and you get to smile back at them. Or you notice that the chocolates are half price or at the register and you get to get one. You know what I mean? Like there's little things that you start to notice without always walking around with a podcast in. Like even lately when I drive, I try to do it completely silent and only put a podcast on maybe on the way home, because on the way I'm like, oh, like I actually never get to be in the car anymore because we work from home. I actually just want to there's something about driving, being in that automatic motion of driving that allows my brain to really focus and come up with the best ideas. And Janusz and I were talking.
It's funny though when I'm in the seat next to her.
Yeah, no, I'm like.
It's like music's off,
Janusz,
silence, driving straight.
Sometimes we get in the car and the automatic Spotify, whatever you listened to last time, pops up. And it's like his dragon audiobook and it's like, I'm from the dragon from Mediocre or something.
I've been listening to Aragon.
Yeah, and I'm like, bro, and I just turn it off straight away. And he goes, oh, what do you want to do? I'm like, nothing. I just want to sit in silence. And it's so nice. But I think the time when you can sit in silence with your partner is when you've really made it as a couple.
But by the way, it's not full silence. It's more just like processing and then we'll also talk.
Don't think we're weird. We're not weird.
No.
But it's because, especially in our jobs, we are constantly talking to people, motivating people on social media, inspiring people, doing all the things, these podcasts. Like we're constantly coming up with scripts to do things. Like our brains are constantly thinking about other people. There's moments where I'm like, I just want to decompress and do absolutely nothing. And as a parent, you may be listening to this, or a teacher or something going, oh, I feel that. And a lot of the time, I have a lot of friends who say on their way home from work, they're like, I just want to be in silence, Mel. I don't even want to listen to your podcast. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's wrong, but that's okay.
But see, this is the natural response of the body.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for us to reach in our pocket and immediately start doom scrolling. And like we're saying, this overrides your natural response to be able to decompress properly. You don't decompress on your phone, but to allow your brain to actually process what's been going on in your day, to pull back from information, to be able to process that information. So this leads us into the next part that I had, which was 5 things that boredom gives you back.
Yeah.
And so again, we're not talking about massive boredom like periods where you're trying to purposely make you bored, but there's 2 types that you could create. Number 1, which is the main one we're talking about, is just the little 5-minute to 15-minute moments in your life where you find periods where you could be swiping. Instead of doing that, just allow yourself to be present and it'll allow you to embrace these 5 things.
Yep.
The other type is to purposely give yourself a good block, like 15 to 30 minutes on purpose to allow yourself to process things. So I read this in Deep Work. It's a great book about being productive. And he was talking about in that book that, I can't remember who it was one of the presidents, used to go on thinking walks where he would have a problem that he's struggling with right now, or a goal that he's trying to achieve, or something that he's trying to ponder. And to give him that time to ponder, he would leave his phone at home and then he would just think and meditate on that problem or goal or whatever it is on that walk.
Yeah.
I do it when I'm running, but if you're dying when you're running, then doing it on a walk can be a great thing. So some people, I've also seen this on Instagram, which is learning how to like drop your dopamine levels down. And it's talking about sitting down and looking at a wall for 15 minutes. This guy had this as his morning routine. I wouldn't do that, and you don't have to do this. But like I was saying, you can have big stretches where you allow yourself to be in your brain, which is like going for a walk on purpose, meditating on a problem or a goal or something you're trying to work on or think through. Or you can have those micro moments, which is just where you're tempted to pull out your phone.
Yeah,
So
I like that.
do you want to go through so these are the 5 things that boredom gives you back when you allow it to be in your life, okay?
Are you asking, do I want to go through
Yeah,
these?
do you want to show the first one?
Oh, Janosch, I would love to.
Yeah.
Let me just scroll down
Yeah,
here.
your page is a bit up.
So the first one is problem solving. I was actually
Yeah.
thinking about this as you were speaking because I know for myself, every single time I come up with a solution for work, for our relationship, for my own problems, it's never when I'm scrolling on Instagram on the lounge or watching a movie or constantly stuck on my laptop. It has never been then. And I sometimes sit there on my laptop frustrated because I'm like, what should I do for this program? What should I do here? How should I answer that? As soon as I go for a silent walk or I have a shower where my phone is not there, or I have moments where I go for a silent drive, whatever it is, usually it never involves a phone or a piece of technology.
It can't involve stimulation.
Yeah, it involves
needs
just
to-
going,
yeah.
oh, the answer was already there. I just needed to completely empty my brain and listen. And I always come back into the house and I'm like, got it, Janosch, all good. And then I go. And I used to look at those kind of breaks as like a waste of time where I'm like, oh, like Janosch would be like, just go for a walk down our driveway. And I'm like, no, I don't have time for that. But I could either spend 3 hours stressing out about something, or I could walk for 10 minutes, quickly get an idea, and all of a sudden be like, wow, I'm a genius. It's not that I'm a genius, it's that I actually had that idea constantly, but I was shoving so much information in my brain with ChatGPT, social media, other people's ideas. All I needed to do was be silent and listen to myself. So definitely problem solving when you take that 10 to 15 minutes of boredom is the best. I know Jerry Seinfeld, I've said this on the podcast before. He has I think he still does it. He has to write his comedic scripts and jokes and ideas and things like that. Every single day he sits down for like 2 hours or something. He has a block where he sits down in his study. It's just a plain wall in front of him. There's no stimulation. He's got blackout blinds. He doesn't even have a laptop. It's a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen, and he just writes jokes. If he can't come up with anything that day, he will just sit there and stare at the wall for 2 hours. But he said in an interview once that he's hardly ever actually just sat there for 2 hours, because what happens is once you finally just sit there and look at the wall, because it's so boring, it allows you to go, well, I might as well think of ideas, and ideas just start popping up into your head. But if he was there and just jumping on his phone, which I find I do that a lot of the time in my work, if I get stimulated or I get overwhelmed with work, I find I just quickly pick up my phone and go, okay. And then half an hour later, I still haven't done the thing I was supposed to do. I'm like, where if I had just faced the problem in the moment and just stared at the wall and really kept my stimulation low, I would have figured it out.
And that's exactly what I was talking about before with the dopamine response,
Yeah.
right? So your dopamine naturally, as you entertain your brain, as you stimulate it, it goes higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
Social media makes it go skyrocketing through the roof because every half a second you're seeing something new. And so you need to face the discomfort because the brain tries to escape it of just sitting down and just allowing yourself to be bored, to purposely drop the dopamine levels. Because when the brain has those dopamine levels drop, it kicks the brain into action of creating ideas, of thinking of problem solving, because it doesn't want to be bored. So the brain's response to escape boredom is to give you all of those good, it just basically just turns itself on to create ideas, to problem solve, to come up with jokes. And so that's what he was essentially doing there. He knew that, okay, if I just sit in the room with nothing else, I don't allow myself to escape the discomfort of that first 5 minutes of boredom. And it's only that long. It doesn't take long. But if you just face that 5 minutes of boredom where you're just sitting there for a bit with no stimulation, your dopamine levels drop. And then because they drop to baseline, essentially your brain kicks into gear being like, hey, well, we don't like feeling bored. Okay, well, I'm not swiping. Let me come up with something else to entertain myself. And this is the exact same thing with your children, with why they tell you not to give them screens and screen time, is because they're not learning this response with the dopamine.
Yeah.
And so they're not allowing their brains to like lose the stimulation to then have to kick into gear of imagination and creation and problem solving.
Yeah.
And so as adults, if you're trying to achieve goals, if you're trying to achieve dreams, if you want to visualize things, like work through things, you need to allow yourself to get into that creation, like dreaming state again. And you can only do that when your dopamine drops.
I remember back in the day when I worked at F45, there was a 9:30 class every day that I used to coach, and all the parents would obviously bring their kids to this class because it was kind of like a mums and bubs class. Anyway, most of the children, I remember I'd look along the wall and most kids were obviously silent because they either got headphones in with their iPads or they've got their parents' phones and they're swiping. And I remember always looking at that going, that actually made me sad. And this is not judgment on parents with screen time, nothing to do with that. Why I'm saying this point is there was always one family who had two kids that always played cards or came up in their dress ups and they would play and do like really cute, fun things. And they were just so imaginative. And I used to watch them and be like, it's not that I'm judging the other kids. It's that I'm looking at these kids going, oh, like they've got problem solving skills. They are thinking, they are playing with each other. They are happy and joyful, where the others looked so angry and they just like didn't even care what their parents are doing. The kids that were playing cards as well would look at their mums and like cheer them on as they were training. And I'm like, for me personally, I don't know what our parenthood would look like, but we have our plans obviously. But before I step into it, I know that I really want our kids as a last resort to come to screen time and social media, just because I don't want them to live in such an overstimulated world that we put ourselves in.
Yeah. And I like how you made the point that it's not that screens are bad, because we're not saying that.
No.
Like even for you as adults, we're not saying that never watch a movie, never listen to podcasts, No. What we're trying to say is you need to develop the skill, and you need to teach your kids the skill of being able to sit in boredom and to create ideas and to find things to do, because your brain will naturally escape boredom. It'll find something to do, which is how motivation works. Like if you purposely make yourself bored, you will get motivated to leave. You don't want to be bored. So you will get motivated to go and train. Maybe I'll go read that book to escape. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do that. But if you have this one direction that you escape boredom, which is always your phone or always the iPad for a child, then it crushes your imagination. It crushes problem solving. It crushes the next one, which I was going to talk about, which is idea creation. Because creation, it needs boredom as raw material to be able to create ideas. Like if you have constant input, then great, you're getting constant input, but you're never having any output. You're never creating anything. You're never getting any ideas for your business. You're never getting any ideas for anything. So if you're ever wanting ideas, you can't just delude yourself into thinking, oh, well, let me just like get ideas by researching. That's one part of it. But once you've researched, you now need to give yourself some time to sit with what you've just put into your brain and allow your brain to ponder it, contemplate it, and then to be able to create.
Oh, sorry, you finished your point. I was like really into that point with you.
Just create.
I love that. The next point that Janos wrote down here was about when you step into that boredom, you're like I kind of spoke about before, you're able to have that empathy and love for other people. I know for myself, when I finally take the time in the morning, for example, not to scroll on my phone, but to start my day in a way where maybe we work out in the morning, maybe I spend some time with God, maybe I just go outside and watch the sunrise if I get up early enough. And that's what we're really trying to make a habit right now, of getting up early before our clients wake up, or some of them, but before the world wakes up and starts interrupting us. It's like, how do we be here? And I find in those silent moments of when I go for a silent walk up and down the road, or I look at the sunrise, or I just sit with my Bible or my journal or whatever it is, I'm able to have people come across my mind that I'm like, oh, I'm going to message them and just say, hey, I'm going to see how they're doing. Or I'm going to say, hey, do you need any help from to a postpartum friend, whatever it is. Like, you have that chance to actually do loving things. I know even for Janos and myself, again, in the last 7 days, we've really nailed getting back on track with just allowing boredom and allowing us to get back onto our healthy habits.
And it's not allowing boredom, like it is, but the way you do this is you stop swiping.
Yeah,
you stop scrolling. You stop entertaining yourself in the small moments.
Well, I'd say in the first trimester, because I was so exhausted, I got into the habit of sleeping in and then waking up and getting straight on my phone and scrolling, which is so unlike me. And then getting through halfway through the second trimester, I was wondering why I was feeling so anxious waking up, because I was reading client messages so quickly in bed. I was reading problems I needed to solve. And then I was going through social media to escape, wondering why, oh man, why am I wasting half the day doing this? But now getting up and actually serving myself and not even looking at my phone early in the morning at like notifications, etc., it's allowing me to, for example, like this morning, not to brag, but I am awesome. But I left a little, post-it note for Janos on the table, just so he remembers that I'm here and I love him. But I used to do that, and we used to do that all the time for each other. And I was like, that thought hasn't crossed my mind to do something small like that for Janos in so long, because I'm constantly flustered that I'm like, yeah, Janos is here, he's fine, like he knows I love him, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no. Janos, his love language is words of affirmation. He loves hearing it, he loves seeing it, he wants it. So I'm like, okay, like this morning I just want to leave him a little note, and I know like when I left this morning that he would love that. And it's not to brag and be like, look what I did for you, so he does something back for me. Genuinely, I was like, oh, I'm so glad the thought actually came across my mind to do it, because I allowed myself to be in silence this morning.
Yeah, and you don't realize that empathy and thinking about other people, like thinking outwardly, it comes in those moments, like those little moments where you're driving in the car and you're able to ponder life. Like when you go and you've talked to a friend and you hear that somebody's struggling, like if you're constantly got input, you're distracting yourself, you're not thinking about it.
Yep.
But if you're having those quiet times and, you're waiting in line at a cafe or something like that, it doesn't have to be like you're sitting and trying to create these moments. Like if you just stop swiping on your phone, these moments they're just in your life. And then you'll notice that you'll be able to have more empathy for other people, because you'll start thinking, oh man, I just heard that person's just lost their mum. I wonder what that's like. I can't imagine that happening. Oh man, I really love my mum. And then you might go into some memories about your mum, and then your brain might come back and be like, oh yeah, I wonder if there's anything I can do to help them. Maybe I'll send them this. Maybe I can do this. I'll send them a card.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get them something. And so you'll start being more loving, more outwardly focused, and you'll become more happy because you're not focusing on yourself anymore. And then so when you're distracting yourself, number one, if you distract yourself with anything, immediately you're going to have less empathy and you're not going to be focused on others focused. But if you distract yourself with social media in particular, like I said before, social media makes you selfish, because it's no longer social media where you're seeing your friends and family anymore. Okay, don't pretend that's what it is, because it's not. It's now all about you. Yep. Like your algorithm is selfish because it's all about your interests, what your goals are, what you're interested in, the videos you like watching. So it makes you so inwardly focused that it's all about you. And so you're now replacing this natural empathy moment, which used to come in those bored moments of life, like the little 5 minute there, 10 minute there. And now you've accidentally created a very selfish person in yourself, because you now say that your world troubles are too big. You say that, you've got no time to even contemplate anybody else around you. And that's why you think that you're the only one struggling, that nobody else has life that's hard, that like there's nobody that cares about you. And it's because you're not caring about anybody else. And nobody wants to admit this, but it's because we're not giving ourselves those quiet moments to think about other people, to be outwardly focused.
Yeah, well, think about it when you go to restaurants in this day and age and you look around and you see people on dates with their husband or their wife or with their families, and everyone's on their phones. And again, I'm not saying I'm perfect. There are moments I jump on my phone as well, because like Janos and I sometimes go on dates and we're like, we've already talked, we work and live together. We've already talked all day. And then we find ourselves on our phones and we have to like have a rule where we go, okay, that's it. Put your phone in the middle. Like we're going to talk and just talk about life, etc. But I would hate for our child to be at the table with us and they're telling us something that's gone on in their day that they're stressed about, or something, they need a solution to something, and they see us on our phone, and you can tell when someone's not fully engaged in a conversation. And I've been like this before, even with you. Oh, Janos will be telling me something, or I'll be telling him something, and we can tell each other are not completely there, and that love isn't there, and you feel it and you feel distance because that other person is living in another world that is pretty much saying, hey, I'm more interested in this than you, and I care more for this phone and what's in it than you. And it's like, no. We actually need in those moments to just be. Like when you go to a restaurant, put your phone down. Like I see families sometimes, like I said before, put your phones all in the middle. and whoever touches it first has to pay, whatever it is, those kind of things. And I'm like, I actually like that, because it allows you to have those moments of, even if it is boring, even if you have nothing to talk about, you're not going to come up with solutions and topics if you keep sticking to your phone. Be with the person that you're with, enjoy the food, look around, make a game. I don't know. Just be there.
Yeah. And that reminds me, like, if you, like, we're talking about empathy and love here, right? So
if Janosch
you're,
has his empathetic voice on, sorry.
I've got my empathetic voice. But if you're a Christian, or if you're faithful, if you're religious, if you believe in God, if you believe in your inner self, even the inner whispers of your soul, right? You can't hear that if you're constantly distracted. Like, if you're not giving yourself those quiet moments, like, you're never going to hear that. Like what you were saying with your phone, like, how many of you, like, you're on your phone and you don't hear what somebody's saying to you? Or you probably don't realize because you're on your phone, but how many of you, when somebody else is on their phone, you're talking to them and you can just tell that they're not listening to you. They don't know what you're saying.
You're like, I'm going to have to repeat this.
Yeah, you're like, they're not listening, right? So if that's happening with somebody who's literally right next to you, if you believe in God and you want to communicate with your creator, if you want to hear from them, hear what their inputs are in your life, what they want you to do, what your inner voice is telling you to do, if that's your thing, then how do you think you're going to hear that if you can barely even hear the person who's right next to you?
Yes, God's not texting you. He's not on social media. You only hear him. And I know for myself, I will say to Janosch sometimes, oh man, like, I'm just not hearing God lately. Like, I feel so lost. I'm working in my own strength. And then it's like, look at your screen time, and where's your time with God? Where's your Bible time? Like, relationships are two-way streets. And I'm just expecting God to show up and, like, give me ideas in my brain when I'm just filling my time and my thoughts with constant other people's thoughts and not him. And as soon as I slow down, like, for example, we just went to a conference with our church last week for like 3 days. And because I'm not constantly on my phone over those 3 days, I'm like on Do Not Disturb. I'm in those sessions. I'm really in prayer. I'm really thinking about my relationship with God. Man, I come out of those conferences like, God, where have you been? And he's like, Mel, I've been here the whole time. You're just finally listening. The reason we are so inspired and excited right now is because we've had that silent time with God, and we're like, oh God, thanks. Like, these are such great ideas. Like, where have these been? And he's like, oh, I've been saying it all year.
But this is the same thing that happens though when you go on holidays. Like,
yes,
I don't know if everyone else gets this, but if you're a business owner, if you go on holidays, even if you like overworked at work and then you go on holidays, sometimes it's like you almost want to go back to work because you're like, oh, why do I feel like working now? Like, I feel like I have so many ideas coming to me.
Yes.
Because you've had that downtime to reflect, to ponder, to allow your creative side of your brain to come out because you're not consuming anymore.
People say that to us a lot. Like, when we went to Europe or New York, they were like, oh, like, our clients were like, just take time off. Like, don't even worry about it. Stop trying to do everything. And we were like, no. We genuinely enjoy working more on holidays because we love our job. But when we're on holidays, we do have those moments of inspiration, excitement, like fresh ideas, because we're off our phone, living in other people's life, and we're just in our life enjoying it. We're like, oh, now we're inspired to jump back on our devices and do things, and then jump right back out and be bored looking at these beautiful sights, being with each other. It's like, why can't we do this in everyday life? Again, not saying not to ever jump on social media or feel bad tonight when you're on social media, but just have a look at your screen time on your phone and
notice
go,
what it's doing to you. That's all.
Exactly. If you feel like you're constantly in a state of anxiety right now, or you have no fresh ideas, or you constantly feel like you're comparing your life to other people's right now, it's because you are consuming too much of them, like their lives and everyone else around you. Because remember, everyone's just sharing their highlight reels. Let's be real. Like, you've got to get back into your life and go, okay, if I'm not happy with how I'm feeling right now, I actually need to fix this. Instead of me sleeping in and scrolling on social media that I was doing in the first trimester and second trimester, Janosch and I are now getting up early, 5 a.m. and getting our workouts done. I'm going for my walk. I'm finally getting 10K steps in again. Not because I found extra time in the day. It's because instead of scrolling, I'm walking.
And you'll be so surprised when you create the habit of stopping swiping and stopping pulling your phone out every 10 seconds. You actually end up having so much more energy because you don't have those dopamine crashes throughout the day.
Yeah.
So it's able to just continuously go from task to task to task to task to task without feeling like you have this crash. Where if you go do something, swipe for a little bit, then your dopamine goes super high, so you don't want to do anything else next because it's already stimulated. And you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. It's going to be so boring.
Yeah, like, I'm finally learning, or kind of, to deal with my anxiety of watching like scary movies or shows. Like, Janosch knows the habit I have is as soon as something gets a bit like there's an issue coming up in a show or a movie, or something bad's about to happen. Any tension, anything when it's not sunshines and daisies and everything.
Any thrill.
Anything at all. If I sense something coming up, Janosch will see me getting my phone and I just need to quickly scroll and just get some happiness in there. And he's like, whoa, deal with what you're watching. I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. And it's like, no. Like, we need to learn how to be okay with processing anxiety and processing uncomfortable situations instead of always looking for an outlet or a release of something like dopamine that you're wasting. Like, we get confused why the most simple things don't give us dopamine anymore. Like a hug doesn't give us dopamine. Watching the sunrise doesn't give us dopamine. It's because we're so used to dopamine now that we never get those sensations of, oh, wow, like it feels so good to see a family member. Now you see them, you're like, whatever. But, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's like because we constantly have it through social media, we have this fake dopamine.
Life is just so fast paced. And the thing is that if most of us just stopped filling the gaps with like more input, more information, if you just allowed the gaps to actually just be gaps in your day, you would have energy because you would have time for your brain to decompress between each meeting instead of swiping between meetings. So each of your things that you have to do, each calendar event, like give yourself the time to process. Like don't overload your brain because that's why it's feeling so overworked and overwhelmed is because you're not getting those quiet moments to just decompress. So we've talked about problem solving is one. It allows you time to problem solve. It allows you time to do creative. So idea creations, problem solving. Empathy and loving other people, hearing like the Holy Spirit, hearing God speaking to you or your inner wisdom. Then the next one that we talked about a little bit then was emotional regulation and processing events that have happened throughout your day. So this is that escapism. Like if you're not giving yourself time to think about and reflect on a fight that you may have had with your brother or sister or maybe with your husband or wife, like when you're in that car driving afterwards, if you don't overload yourself, you start thinking about what just happened and you start to contemplate, oh, okay, was there something that I could have done differently? Like, was it something that I did wrong? Oh, maybe it was something that they did. Oh, but why are they doing it that way? Like, are they overwhelmed right now? Are they overworked? And it just gives you, again, it links with that empathy and loving other people. But by giving yourself that time to process, it allows you to process all of those events, the emotions that are coming up throughout your day to deal with them. Whereas if you're always pulling out your phone to escape all of those emotions, then you're not really regulating yourself. You're just burying all your emotions. And then you're only ever seeing your side of arguments because you're never allowing yourself to contemplate why the other person may have done what they did. Like people aren't just evil. That's what I've kind of experienced in the world, right? There is evil, obviously. There is people who are just horrible. But I would say majority of people are unintentionally being unloving. Like they're unintentionally hurting people.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like we not give our best selves, but we waste our best selves on scrolling, on like all the stress of work, etc. Like we don't deal with things throughout the day at work, maybe, etc. And then when you get home, because you haven't dealt with things, because you've been constantly getting that dopamine from just going, I'll just go on social media, I'll do something, I'll scroll, whatever it is. You get home and maybe your partner's really excited to see you and you're just like, oh, like I can't deal with this right now. And like you're a bit short with them, etc. because you haven't had that time to process throughout the day. So you bring your worst self back home. And then you wonder why you're not enjoying going like back home. Maybe you're sitting in the car for an extra 10 minutes when you park because you're like, I can't even deal with inside right now. And you find yourself scrolling. It's because you're living in that world and not even realizing that that's, the thing that's filling you, where really it's like, just learn how to be bored and face the issues that you've had throughout the day, or have some time to process things when you're driving home. So by the time you do get home, you can give your best self to your kids, to your partner, to yourself. So you don't go to bed going, oh, another day, let's wake up again tomorrow and do the same old thing. It's like, if you're living life like that right now and you're like, oh, that's me, then it's time to get off, not social media, but find the time to be silent.
Yeah. And then the last one that I've written here is decompression and resting, which again allows you to have more time for focus. So by allowing yourself to not be swiping on your phone, like that's what I know a lot of people say that's how they decompress, but that's not physiologically how your brain works to decompress. The only way to allow yourself to decompress is to get rid of input, to get rid of stimulation, and to allow your brain to process and decompress from the information that it's gathered from the day.
Yep.
And so that's why it's so important when you're driving home, like you were saying, to give yourself some time of no stimulation. So if you've had a crazy like work day, don't put a podcast on in the car on the way home. Like allow yourself to just listen to some music, maybe wordless music if you want, to just be able to process and meditate, but get rid of the extra input. So that's partly why for me, I was like a massive fan of podcasts and audiobooks. But recently I've started listening to, like we were talking about Eragon, I've started listening to some fiction books instead of self-help all the time, because I realized that that's what I was doing, is I was constantly filling my brain and I wasn't giving it the time to process and to unconsciously process things. But by listening to fiction or by listening to just like some normal music, it gives you that time to just process. Or as we were talking about, if you really want to process something, sometimes if you had like a crazy day, have no music. Just like press pause and just drive home, sitting with your thoughts, sitting with your mind.
I know sometimes I get really frustrated at myself because I'm like, yes, I have a night where I finish my work. And then I get excited because I'm like, oh, I'm going to be able to watch maybe an episode of Friends or Seinfeld or whatever it is and just watch a movie and completely decompress. But then all of a sudden I waste time. I jump on the lounge and go, oh, I'll do all that soon. And I waste time scrolling, and all of a sudden my back starts to hurt because I'm sitting in an awkward position. I'm scrolling and I start to feel anxious because I'm seeing other people do things, and it makes me feel like I'm lazy. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, I just wasted an hour and a half where I could have showered, turned my phone off and put it in another room, put an episode on and completely just escaped and enjoyed an episode where that's okay. But I've wasted it going, oh, I've gone and scrolled instead of just completely switched off and wasted half the night. I hate that.
Yeah. And that's literally what I realized that I was doing, was that I was saying that I was really busy and that I didn't have time and that I had a lot of things on, which was true. Like I do have a lot of things on. I've got a lot of boxes, a lot of balls I'm trying to juggle, those types of things, right? But when I was really honest with myself, the reason why I felt like I didn't have time was because I was just filling every spare moment, every gap in my day. I was filling it, and I was not allowing there to be gaps in my day. So I was forcibly filling every single gap in my day with swiping. So it's like, yeah, I was busy. But if I actually didn't fill those gaps, I had a solid few like hours, and I don't mean hours in the sense of like having, multiple hours in a gap all at once, but cumulatively there's 15 minutes there, 30 minutes there, maybe there's another 15 minutes there, another 10 minutes there. And so if I took those moments to properly decompress without just swiping, I would feel like I had so much more energy, and then I would feel less busy because then there is gaps in your day.
Yeah, well, even like now that I'm looking into how we want to parent and like the first year of our baby's life, I read all these things where it's about like, allowing them to have these moments where you're not interrupting them and you're allowing them to discover, playing with certain toys, rolling on the ground for the first time, doing things independently without stimulation, like without me always you getting involved and being like, come on, let's play with this toy. It's like, no, allow them to be and see what they do. That won't happen to us as adults if we keep putting things in our way and not allowing our brain to come up with ideas and do things. If we're constantly, it's just like, imagine your child about to roll for the first time and we're like, here's Miss Rachel, look at Miss Rachel, like look at this show and like learn this word. It's like, you wouldn't do that unless you would, that's okay. But I wouldn't do that. I would allow them to discover something. Or if I saw them doing like for example, our niece right now, Charlotte, it's so beautiful watching her kind of like talk to herself as she's drawing, or like when she's talking to her dolls and what she does with Jessie the doll and her kind of conversations of her little people dolls where she like pretends they're us and she does things. I'm like, if I interrupt that, I'm going to interrupt a really good thought there or a really good process that she's having and development that she's having. It's fun to watch that. This is the exact same thing that's happening with adults right now, is we are interrupting these natural flows of creation and just being a human because we're living in these devices that were created to keep us on there. Look at your algorithm. It is exactly what you want to see because those apps know that you like to watch these videos and they'll keep supplying you with them because you're giving them money with every scroll that you do. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like I use social media to get ideas and all these things.
It is a bad thing. Like, it's not bad if you do it every now and then.
In doses. Like alcohol is not terrible in doses. Like if you have a sip here and there and a few drinks with your friends, that's great. If you drink every day 10 glasses of wine, yeah, that's not good. Like it's all about having good doses of things.
Yeah. Well, it was like what I was saying at the start. I thought that swiping was harmless because I was filling the gaps in my day with something else. Like I thought it was harmless because I was just filling the gaps.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize now that I've done all the research is that I wasn't filling the gaps. I was taking from my brain. I was taking from my brain's time where it was supposed to decompress. It's supposed to emotionally regulate. It's supposed to do problem solving. It's supposed to do creation and be creative thinking. So I'm not filling the gaps. I'm actually stealing from my brain's ability to regulate, the ability to decompress, the ability to like not be overwhelmed or overstimulated. Like that's what you're stealing from yourself when you're doing all of these things. So you absolutely need to get on top of this. And if you are someone that's sitting there thinking, you know what, I am pretty overwhelmed. Like I do have a lot coming on. I do feel super busy where I just got no time. Like if that's what you're telling yourself, then this is super important for you to learn how to allow yourself to not fill those gaps, but to give your brain the space it needs to be able to process. And the other part is to give the brain the space it needs to lower its dopamine levels so that your motivation levels raise so that you can get out of boredom. Like boredom's a good thing because it's the stimulant that creates the brain's need to be like, all right, I'm bored. I don't like this. What can I do? Yeah. And then now your brain's going to want to do something else that it wouldn't normally want to do.
Well, I'm not sure if you have a few solutions that people could use in their everyday life, but I have one that I was thinking about.
Yeah.
And something I did recently, or probably this whole year I've done it, and it has helped me, is turning off notifications on apps besides like messaging, like Messenger, whatever it is. But off Instagram, even our Pro Body Training app, like I actually have turned off notifications so my phone doesn't dictate and tell me to go back on it. It allows me to make the decision to go on those apps and at the certain times I want to go on and then, reply to DMs, reply to my clients at the times that I need to reply to them. Otherwise, I find that if a DM comes through or a like on Instagram comes through or an Instagram story reply comes through, I'm obviously going to go answer that. But if you find, like, for example, especially since we've been pregnant, like I get a lot of DMs, not to brag or anything, but it's like, obviously a lot of mums will answer my things now. People will be like, wow, your belly, you're glowing. And I love that. I answer like 6 days later, unfortunately, because sometimes they build up so much because I haven't got the notifications on that I'm like, oh, I've got 100 things to get back to now. And then eventually I will get back to them. And it's just me kind of taking the control back now of I'm in control of the social media. I'm in control of when I reply to people, not my phone being in control of me.
Yeah. And the important thing is that Mel's just like not replying, right? Double negative there. But she's actually taking control of it by turning off the notifications so she's not being over bombarded with everything. And she's scheduled a time in the morning where once she does a bit of work, she'll then reply in the morning. And then we guarantee our clients will always reply within 24 hours. So between that reply, people are going to message her, but she's not going to keep going back and forth with people unless it's important. And then she'll log on in the afternoon and clear her inbox again. And then the next day in the morning, she'll reply, clear the inbox, afternoon, clear the inbox. So that way there's a regular cadence where you're not just leaving people hanging, like you're still being able to do your job effectively, but it just allows your brain not to be so reactive and responsive. And then you'll be able to be more present when you're supposed to be replying to people. So it just buys you back that space. But I love that tip.
Yeah, I also have another idea and I want to do this more. I think we've only done it twice, but I've mentioned before that we have this thing in our house called the brick. And what it does is when you scan it, it deactivates, like for us, it deactivates social media on our phone. And we can't jump back onto social media, it like completely blocks it until we physically go to the thing on our fridge and scan it. And what I want to do more of, and I'm putting it out there now on our podcast, is before we leave the house, like for example, if we go on a date night or we're going somewhere where we want to just be, I want to deactivate our phones. So when we're out, there's no way we actually can get back on social media until we get back home and undeactivate it.
The way that this works is it's a company called Brick. And it literally turns your phone into a brick. So it works exactly like when you're using your phone to pay on a terminal. Yeah. So you basically tap it, you tap the brick, which is just like you're paying.
Scan it,
You scan it. And then it deactivates the apps that you selected you want it to deactivate on your phone until you go back to the physical location where you put the brick to then scan the brick again and then it unbricks your phone. And then there are some emergency ones. So if you are out and you're like, oops, I didn't bring my brick with me to unbrick my phone, you can
Yeah.
use one of the emergency ones, but there's a limited supply of those.
Yeah, but I know I used to have, and a lot of you probably do the one on the phone where you can set yourself time limits on social media apps. But let's be real, we all tap through that and go, oh, ignore. There's no way we're going to stick to that. Where this brick thing makes me really go, oh, how sad is it? Like, it shows you a timer of how long you've been bricked. I'm like, it's only been 3 minutes and I'm trying to get back onto my phone. Do I seriously have an addiction? Yes. So something like that is a really good kind of solution to just kind of practice going, oh, how many times do I want to get back onto my phone and have that dopamine hit instead of actually being in my real life. So that's probably the two solutions I would have.
Yeah. Mine, I'd say, is more of like a bit of a mindset. So just look at boredom as like a daily discipline. Like, don't look at boredom as like a thing that needs to be solved, but allow yourself those small moments where you're bored. So then when you're, at the cafe and you're in the line, like, resist that urge to pull out your phone, or when you start pulling it out, put it back in your pocket and just be like, no, Janusz, let me just sit here. Let me just be present. Let me just breathe.
Yeah.
Let me look around. Let me smile. Let me contemplate something. Let me think about something that I'm grateful for. Let me pray. Like, embrace those little boredom moments. And that's my challenge to you guys today, is just as you go through this week, just be a little bit more intentional about when you're trying to pull out your phone to swipe. Like, if you want to do something like we were talking about just before about bricking your phone or like deleting the apps or something like that. But for me, I didn't do any of that. My main mindset, and the thing that I've shifted this week, is just that mindset of like, okay, let's not do the doom scrolling. Let me just be more present. And just, if I'm at a cafe, I'm just going to be at the cafe.
Yeah.
If I have to wait for a few minutes because there's an ad break, just watch the ads. Like, just be in the ad break. You don't have to do it. Or if you're sitting next to someone, just talk to them for a few minutes or something.
Yeah.
When you're watching a movie, if the movie is a boring movie, just allow yourself to sit there and keep watching the movie and let your brain just wander where it needs to wander to. If you want to do, like I was saying, they're the small moments, but maybe challenge yourself to do like a bigger thing. So if you have a specific problem you're focusing on, or a goal you're trying to work on, or something that you're trying to think through right now, go on a walk where the purpose of that walk is just to think about that thing, and that's it. Or if you're going to go for a run, just try and do the run either with music or without music, and just focus your mind on that one specific problem as you go through the day.
Yeah, I love that. And if you do have a moment where you stop using your phone and you allow yourself to be bored, even if it's for a few minutes, let us know. Like, comment it, DM us, and let us know the moment. Like, maybe you're in the grocery line and you didn't grab your phone out and you remembered this podcast and you're like, oh, I'm actually going to practice this. Like, let us know those moments, and let us know kind of how that moment felt. Because I know for myself, when I find myself fighting against the dopamine of going on my phone, I feel so proud. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, brain, where are we going to go with this? Like, what's going to happen? What thoughts are we going to have? And it's just the best moment. So yeah, let us know if you do have one of those moments.
Yeah, like, you don't have to wait till holidays or a long weekend to decompress and to like proper, because again, the everyone's use of the word decompress when they're swiping social media, all of that, that's not decompressing. Like, you actually need to give your brain space to decompress. You can't just fill it with stuff endlessly. So yeah, go out this week, live the probity lifestyle, but let's try and be off our devices this week a little bit.
Live the bored lifestyle.
Yeah, be bored. Like, go out there and be bored.
Yeah, I love that. Is that the end of the podcast?
I think so.
That's the end.
Yeah, be bored.
Live the probity lifestyle.